Welcome back to Firestone Forge. Today we're doing something different. I've got a friend here and we're going to be processing this bear hide. We're going to be removing the skull and the feet and getting it salted and everything else like that. This is my friend Bear.
Please be aware that we will
Howdy.
be peeling
He's
out
going to be
the skull
showing
of
us what
this
to
bear,
do today.
So if you're a little
stick
squeamish,
around.
you might not want to watch.
There's different kinds. Do you want me to do this?
Yeah.
There's different kinds of tanning. I know you know this, but there's different kinds of ways to tan. So there's bark tan. There's brain tan. You can use the animal's brain. We're probably not going to use the brain out of this because part of my gig today is that I'm taking the skull whenever it's available. Soap. You can use eggs. Let's see. Neat's foot oil. Did I already say bark?
Oh, yes.
Bark tanning is really labor intensive because you have to get the bark, the right bark. Red fir is the best, and then you have to crush it unless you've got a chipper. But you have to make the tea, and it's the best, really the best, one of the best for hair on. But
I wouldn't mind playing around with that down the road.
there's going to be holes that you didn't create that are already there. These were already there. This is not new, so I'm not going to feel bad about that. Now, if I put a hole in his hide, I'm not going to be happy about it. But it is what it is.
After removing the larger chunks of meat and fat from the hide, we decided to move on to peeling out the skull. And it's actually a simple process. You can kind of just follow the line. As you push the skull back through the hide, you'll see where it's connected by the connective tissues, and you just kind of run your knife carefully along that, making small shallow cuts as you go, and it actually pushes the skull out.
We just got to the point where we're still peeling this back and we just barely got to the ear. See that canal right there, that hole? You can't really show that very well. That is the canal, the auditory canal that leads to the ear. Now when you're peeling the skull, you just want to kind of move the leather down. It's better if you have more people because you can feel it and you can see it. And that's meat. You can feel the meat. You can feel the bone underneath the meat. That is flesh, leather. You can feel that. You just got to kind of roll along the connective tissue. When you start getting back to the ear, you'll feel in the skull, the dip in the skull where everything, goes in. So just go carefully, still following along the meat and everything, and you'll end up pulling it out. Now we're just going to continue around the back and peel this skull out of here. We're almost there. We're so close.
So now Phil's working towards the eyelid. He's staying flush with the skull.
There it is. That's the edge of it.
He sees the edge, and he's going to stay underneath the lid so that he preserves it, so that when he tans this hide, he's got two beautiful eyelids and no holes. I'm going to get in here and not knock him in the head so that you can see what he's doing.
No, I'm worried that I'm going to end up going in too deep.
Nope, you're good. You can't go in too deep. So now you can see the eyelid. If you look in there, you can see the eyelid. So what he's going to do is he's going to continue. Well, he's going to
loosen it up a little bit.
He's going to loosen it up so he's got a little more room to work. Nice. Loosen it up as much as you want. And what he's going to do when he gets where he's at is he's going to keep, you can see it right there. He's going to stay flush with the eye socket. That's part of the skull.
Okay, So this is where we've got, okay? Now, we've got to the nose section. Now when we reached here, we kept on peeling. He was pulling and I was cutting with the knife. Now I've got this here, fillet knife. It doesn't have to be a fillet knife, that's just what I was using. Once we started feeling it where it was right at the nose, he pulled and I did light strokes, cut in, because you can feel the difference between the muscle, or the bone I should say, and the cartilage. So I started off like that, followed up to the point, and then just kind of brought it in and carried it on around.
And this is what you want it to look like, because we're going to salt all of this. We've almost got the skull off. How's your shot over there? Because there's a good shot. We've got the lips. We're pretty much almost done with this skull, but he did a fine job. Fine job. Can't wait to take this thing home and boil it. So this is Phil's black bear that's been skinned, and the skull and the face, and he did an awesome job. Just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. The nose is intact. This bear's been in the freezer for 3 months, 3 years, 3 months and 3 years, and but so that's that. And then we're gonna. Somebody's going to take this skull home and cook the meat off of it and not eat it, and then we're going to finish up the rest of this and decide what we're going to do with the paws. So by salting this, we salted the mouth up really good. Phil stuffed the nasal cavity. You can probably see how there's salt all the way through the nasal cavity. Now he put it in this way. He packed it with salt backwards. That's going to preserve all of this. It's going to take up the moisture. It's going to preserve the entire hide. By salting the inside of the skull, it's going to keep the flies away. It's going to keep things from getting rotten, and it will remove all of the blood and the moisture out. So don't ever spare on salt. It's $9 or $10 a bag. Blending salt, tanner salt. Use it as much as you can, because you're not going to be able to do one of these in one day, ever. And if you've got a bear, you want to use it. You want to use everything you can. So we're going to salt the oral canals where the ears are. We salted the mouth, and then we're gonna pack the skull with salt, and then we're gonna start working on the fat.
We're stuffing as much salt as we can down the auditory canals, so that way it helps keep the ears preserved. Well, it's one of the big things you want to keep on the hide, especially makes it look good and everything else like that. And if you don't salt it very well, then it could very well rot, and that's something you don't want. Also, cover as much of the hide as you can in salt and rub it in well. The head area we found to be very moist, because the hide there is thicker at the back of the neck of the bear. You really want to salt that well.
We're working through pulling these paws out, and the bones are still in here. And that's all cool, but the problem is that I want to use this bear hide as a blanket. Well, the problem with that becomes, okay, let's say I get all the paw out, basically, and I got the claws and this nice pad. Let's say in the middle of the night I roll over and I smack myself in the face with this and gouge an eye. Or something more sensitive. Now, that's not a good idea. Now,
like
if this...
bicep.
Huh?
Like a bicep.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
If I was going to use this as a bearskin rug, like, have the head on and whatnot, I'd keep them. But honestly, it serves no real purpose for the use of a blanket. So, we're going to cut them off. We're going to remove the paws, okay? And we're going to end up eventually just getting the claws. We're going to let that, go naturally. So
we want it to be as straight as possible, so we're not wasting anything. little sawing motion here.
Dude, I'm telling you, try this guy.
Alright, I'll try your guy. Well, I'll be darned. We're taking it right back to the wrist bone here. And we're leaving the tag on, which is very important. Okay, we still want to make sure we're getting as much of the hide as possible. And bam, there you go. So that's a good way to start it.
For fleshing, pulling out the rest of that membrane.
Yeah.
Let me get on the other side there.
Because that way, you know, we're not wasting anything. Look how much we actually saved. But using a pair of clippers or a good pair of scissors to start it, then you're not sawing and you don't have uneven edges, and bam, like that. And the tag is still there, people. Very important. Keep your tag.
And next comes the salt. The whole point is that we don't want this thing to rot. We want it to be preserved, so add as much salt as you can or that you need. The 50-pound bag there was $10 over at the co-op store, so it's fairly cheap and it's reasonable. The other thing is that it'll help hold the hair on. It's not like iodized salt, so it's a big plus. And don't be afraid to salt the crap out of it. Get it in as many places as you can, and especially make sure to fill that it's around the head. Once the main body has been salted, one of the things you want to do is you want to fold the outer parts inward, because we're going to end up folding this whole thing up. And what Bear was telling me was that one of the ways you can tell that it's really salted well enough is that when you fold it in and you'll press down lightly and then pull back, if you see enough salt on the part you just folded in, then you've got a lot of salt there, and that's good. If you don't, then you might want to add a little more. So we had to add a little more salt to the top there. Now we're just checking and then folding in. It's the same basic process. It's fairly easy. Just kind of keep an eye and be diligent. After you've folded in the sides, you want to roll the thing up on itself very carefully, and that'll really help lock in all the salt that's on the inside. You really want the salt to be able to pull out as much moisture from the oils and fats that you can. Bear is a very fatty, greasy creature. So the better you can pull out a lot of that moisture and fat and oils and whatnot, the better it is.
Oh wow! Look at that.
Yes.
We didn't do that.
No.
No.
Actually, it gives it character.
Well, let's see it. This one already had this one had a nice amount of salt in it that came from the other direction. And then what I would do too is just do a light coat.
Like right now?
Yeah. See, like here? Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. Anywhere that we see bare skin. Pun intended. Yeah. Yep.
A little bit more back up in there.
Because you remember, are we off now?
No.
Oh, we're gonna take and rinse. We're gonna rinse this all off.
Yeah.
We're gonna rinse all the salt off. Ideally, if you had a cardboard box or a wooden box, that would be the best way to do it, with a lid. But you can put it in a plastic bag.
Here's a question. If I clean that guy out
And then,
slap it in there with a lot, like pour salt over it.
yep. Salt up a little bit.
You want to bring that on up?
Sure.
because... No, let's get under there.
A lot of salt in there. Perfect. Perfect. Yep.
The rest, you think? Or a bit?
Well, you can always
Add some later.
add some later.
We harvested the bear fat, what we could of it, and we're going to end up using that for preservative, you know, help it waterproof stuff and all that kind of crap.
Make biscuits.
Baked biscuits.
Make biscuits.
So we're going to let it salt, and that way Phil can do something fun tomorrow. Something funnest. Something different than working on hides. And for Little Bear, peace out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching. Check you next time.